Hello everyone, and finally, it's over. This past Saturday, they finally aired the final episode of Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel. And was it worth the rest of the series to get to this point to say it's over? Yes. Yes, it was worth it. The most anticlimactic episode probably ever in Power Rangers history. Probably the worst ending in Power Rangers history. Now don't click off the video just yet. I've got my reasons. People. This was Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel episode, what was it? Episode 20? I believe I want to say it's episode 20. It's either episode 20 or 21. Reaching the Nexus. Well, the title certainly doesn't work for this episode. Nothing works for this episode. I'm just glad that it's over, but I'm going to review it anyway because I've reviewed all the others. So, in this episode, it continues where the last episode left off. Mick and Madame Odious are preparing to break into the Power Rangers base and steal the Nexus Prism. First, I want to mention real quick that the very beginning of this episode had a prologue narration by the normal Power Rangers narrator. And never before have I heard such a aggressive, dramatic reading of the sentence, "They broke up," referring to the last episode where the White Ranger Haley and the Yellow Ranger Calvin had seemingly ended their relationship. Why does that matter at a time like this when the world could be enslaved and Madame Odious could rule the universe? They broke up. It was just the weirdest reading of of those words that I've ever heard. It wasn't that big a deal. We all know they were going to get back together anyway. Anyhow, the Rangers, while they're watching Madame Odious and Mick, the brainwashed Mick, head to their secret base, they decide to contact Redbot to warn him that they are coming to get this Super Ninja Steel out of the base. Well, of course, he doesn't make it in time as they break down the wall between the school shop class and in the Power Rangers secret base, which goes to show, yeah, their secret base wasn't really so secret. It was literally right next door to the school's shop class. If all you had to do was knock down a wall, it's not very secret. Well, she proceeds to temporarily damage Redbot. He just reboots 2 minutes later. She succeeds in taking the Super Ninja Steel and the Nexus Prism and proceeds to turn it evil, and Mick throws a star that she is making, a Super Nexus star, basically the same star from the very first episode of Ninja Steel, where you see Brody and Levi's father pulling the Super Nexus star from the Nexus Prism before Galvanax decided to attack and steal it and, seemingly destroy Brody and Levi's father. Well, she's making an evil version, which she does succeed, and she just succeeds in merging with it. But before that, we go back to the Galaxy Warriors ship, the Warrior Dome, with the ass clowns, Victor and Monty. Looking more like clowns every single time we see them. Well, they are sick of dodging giant ball and chain droppings from the ceiling and seemingly almost killing them, so they plead to Cosmo, the monster that shouldn't be in the series, that they're tired and they can't keep it up, and they're afraid that they're going to get hurt. Well, he decides to give them balls to juggle. They say, okay, juggling, that's easy. They go back out on stage and they begin juggling. Only then does Cosmo tell them that the balls that they are juggling will explode if they drop one. What do they do as soon as they hear that? They drop one. Monty drops one and it blows up a Kudobot, which was actually kind of funny. But if you ask me, what they should have done was they should have just taken those balls and thrown them at all of the monsters destroying them, and then teleported out, and then they would have been safe from there on out. But then we wouldn't have the ending that we had, which I'll get to here in just a moment. I'm going to keep this one very short because I'm just ecstatic that the series is over, that this was the last episode in the story arc for this series, whatever that story arc was. I don't know. Someone out there can enlighten me. It just seemed to be all over the place. Because all of the episodes leading up to this point, you literally could have done anything. I mean, there was nothing tying into this point except for the last episode. These last two episodes were the only thing that tied into each other. Throughout the rest of the episodes, the only thing that you could really piece together, tie in together for somewhat of a story arc, were the villains, was the fact that Madame Odious wanted the Nexus prism. That's it. There was no other interesting story arcs aside from, I suppose, Calvin and Haley's relationship, which, again, this is Power Rangers, not 90210. We don't care in the long run. Do you think the kids that are watching this care about their relationship? No. I'm a full-grown man, and I've been watching this since I was a little kid, and I'm married with 4 kids, and I don't care about a Power Rangers relationship. I care about them saving the world, because that is what they are supposed to be doing. But they only seem to do that every now and again. Anyway, back to the episode. The Rangers decide to split up because they figured that they can do more that way. Brody, Levi, and Preston decide to go to the command center and try to stop Madame Odious and Mick, which they were unsuccessful. And Sarah and Haley proceed to go to the Galaxy Warriors ship, the Warrior Dome, to not only try to save the humans that they have captured, but to destroy the mind control satellite dish and free Calvin, the Yellow Ranger, from his mind control. Well, they end up sneaking onto the ship via pretending to be brainwashed and marching in line with the rest of the humans ready for teleportation. They get beamed to the ship, only to sneak away from the crowd literally seconds later. They fight their way through some Kudobots on the ship, and Haley comes to the room with the mind control satellite dish. Well, as soon as she gets there, it not really as easy as just flipping a switch. Of course, it's never going to be that easy. Well, her brainwashed boyfriend, ex-boyfriend at this point, Calvin, shows up with glowing red eyes, attacking her. She is hanging from the ledge of the outside of the ship, literally just dangling by her fingertips, when he decides to try to hit her hands with his sword, with his ninja steel blade. Misses once, a little bit more dialogue. She tries to snap him out of it, doesn't work. Just as he's getting ready to deliver the final blow to Haley to knock her off the ship or just kill her outright, because even if she fell from the ship, she could just morph in midair and then land safely, or call her Zord, and that would be, and again, be safe. But she doesn't. She decides, while hanging with one arm by four or five fingertips, to grab her ninja steel blaster and point it at Calvin, just instead not to shoot him, but to shoot the control console behind him, destroying the satellite and effectively ending the mind control all over planet Earth, including Calvin, who then snaps out of it right then and there and realizes, oh crap, my girlfriend is hanging off the edge of this ship and I'll save her, which he does. And as soon as he does, they make up. Sweet. She admits that she was wrong and he was just being an honest guy and she should have never faulted him for that. And he said, oh, well, I'm sorry too for over-exaggerating and blah, 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 and they're back together. Whatever. Well, as this is happening, Brody, Levi, and Preston are spying on Madame Odious, who is preparing to receive her new super Nexus star from the Nexus prism. And as they are spying on her, they are ambushed by none other than Brody and Levi's dad. Brainwashed, mind-controlled at this point. It skips back a little bit. Sorry about that. and proceeds to attack all three of those Rangers, more specifically just Brody for some strange reason, even though Levi is also his son, his oldest son, and Preston, who's obviously just there trying to help his friends. Well, obviously, a small scuffle ensues with swords, and then obviously when Haley destroys the mind control satellite dish, he is snapped out of it. He apologizes, and they proceed to confront Madame Odious, who now has her Super Nexus star, and begins to merge with it. Obviously, because the power is supposedly so great, they can't get near, and they're just being blinded by the sheer brilliance of its power. The other Rangers, Calvin, Haley, and Sarah, show back up to lend a hand when Madame Odious finishes her absorbing of the Super Nexus star and transforms into a new super monster. Well, we obviously have seen this form of Madame Odious in the Japanese version, Shuriken Sentai Ninja, and it's basically the same thing. They're just using stock footage from this point on, basically, until the Rangers morph anyway. Well, she transforms into her new super self, and the Rangers decide to do their final morph, which was just the same as all the other times they morph. Nothing special about it. Proceed to attack her and find out that she is way too powerful. There's no way they can win. So, as Brody, Levi's father, and Mick decide to evacuate the area because things are getting pretty heated, the Rangers decide to make a small retreat to come up with a plan. And what is their plan? To merge all of their power stars together to make their own Super Nexus star, which they proceed to do by using Preston's magic, and it forms a ethereal Super Nexus star, which they proceed to absorb the energy from, giving them the strength to defeat the new Super Madame Odious, whatever you wanted to call her. Well, again, at this point on, it's all stock footage from Shuriken Sentai Ninja. All stock footage. Literally all stock footage. They use the exact same finishing blow, same moves, same... it was absolutely just mirror image. The only difference in this ending was Madame Odious, the villain, was completely destroyed, seemingly obliterated. Nothing left but particles. That's it. In the Japanese version, in Shuriken Sentai Ninja, Madame Odious, which wasn't a woman, by the way, I understand why they made Madame Odious a female in Power Rangers Ninja Steel. I understand why they made it a female, because the character, the monster costume looked very feminine. So they figured they could get away with turning a him into a her, and they figured no one would notice. Well, we did notice, especially those of us who have watched Super Sentai. But in that version, she's defeated. She loses her power, yes, but she wasn't destroyed. Or he wasn't destroyed. He actually ends up becoming somewhat of a reformed monster, and eventually, unofficially, in Super Sentai, he became something happened to where the power star that was given to him in Ninja ended up turning into a Green Ranger power star, which again was very, very strange, because the only Green Ranger that I saw in Ninja Steel, or Ninja, pardon me, so many names, was a female. And I'm thinking maybe that's why they decided to make the villain from Ninja a female, was to try to tie that together. Problem is, they didn't use the Green Ranger, the female Green Ranger, so therefore it was pointless. It was absolutely pointless to make a monster that was originally male into a female, and everybody was hoping at the very end she would just turn into an evil Green Ranger, and we'll have another evil Green Ranger like the first we've had in 25 years. That didn't happen, obviously. But to the ending of this episode was so disappointing. Did the one thing that that I always gripe about at the end of certain Power Rangers series. Not all series, but certain Power Rangers series where the Rangers lose their powers or have their powers taken from them. In Super Sentai, that does not happen. Stop doing that. Thank goodness Saban no longer has the series, and it's Hasbro. Hasbro, stop taking the Rangers' powers from them at the end. All you're doing is pissing people off and ruining the chance for people's hopes that there's going to be some kind of a crossover episode in the future where those Rangers come back. Now, I know that you've done stuff like that before to where, oh, well, these Rangers lost their powers, and then the next series starts, those Rangers come back and somehow they have their powers back and they do a team-up battle. They did that a lot in the Disney era, but the one that comes to mind, I'm going to say, is Dino Thunder and SPD. Now, the only reason that worked, yes, at the end of Dino Thunder, they basically depleted their power. Their power was gone. They couldn't morph anymore. Well, as soon as Power Rangers SPD starts, excuse me, tongue twister, basically I'd say about 15, 20 episodes in, they have a crossover episode where they basically bring the Dino Thunder Rangers back. The only way this was possible, obviously, is because in Power Rangers SPD, they made it to where the SPD Rangers are basically from the future. These are future Rangers. So when the Dino Thunder Rangers show up, they just say, oh, these are Rangers from the past. And they apparently plucked them from the past before they lost their powers. So therefore, that's why they have their powers. But that's just lazy writing, if you ask me. Yeah, those episodes were good, but that's lazy writing. Now, in this series, in Ninja Steel, Super Ninja Steel, whatever have you, there were lots of crossovers with the Ninjas in Japan. They were in they were in Tokyuger, they were in Zyuohger, and I just don't get why they insist on taking the Rangers' powers. Just stop. I'll stop ranting about it. Just stop taking the Rangers' powers from them at the end. They're supposed to be heroes, and part of the reward for saving the world is the fact that they are those heroes that saved the world. If they don't want to who wants to save the world and then just be forgotten about? Not take any credit whatsoever. And anytime anything in the future happens, those Rangers aren't there to help. They're not there to save the world if something else happens. It's always a new team. Well, you wouldn't have to do that if you didn't take the powers from the other Rangers. More Rangers, the better. Did we not see Gokaiger? Yeah, granted, in Super Megaforce, they did the whole thing to where all of the past Rangers got their powers back. So at this point, leading up to this point, we should fully understand that all of the Rangers have their powers at this point, except obviously for some reason the Ninja Steel Rangers. So what, we starting like a new tradition again all over? Like all the past Rangers got their powers back, but these new Rangers, they don't get to keep their powers? So bad. And even worse than that, the very ending of the episode, after the Rangers, actually technically before the Rangers give their powers up, and the Nexus Star flies away to supposedly help somebody else, what do we get at the school of all places? Again, not at a town hall, not in the middle of downtown, not some huge grand structure for this ceremony. Victor and Monty had actually helped the humans escape from the Warrior Dome. They did use those explosive juggling balls, like I said earlier. They used those against Cosmo and Padana, seemingly destroying them and the rest of the Galaxy Warrior ship. We don't really see it crash or completely blow up. It just, a small explosion happens and it kind of floats away. Then Victor and Monty teleport the humans and themselves out. Well, at the end, of course, who's to thank for saving humanity? Not the Power Rangers. Victor and Monty. And I called it. I called it literally a couple of reviews ago, to where, what do you want to bet at the end of the series, Victor and Monty, the two most hated characters, are going to end up being heroes. And I was right. And Victor gets his 50th trophy. And what does he have to say about this? No heroic speech, no thanks, nothing, just my 50th trophy. People clap, and then that's the freaking end. I'm drained. I'm done. There's rumored that there's going to be one more Christmas special with Ninja Steel. I hope the rumors aren't true. But if there is one last Christmas episode, it'll be boring because the Rangers no longer have their powers. And it's a Christmas episode. Some Christmas episodes are okay, but I know the last couple of Christmas episodes were god-awful. I'm going to count this as done, though. If they do a Christmas episode, I'll review it. It'll be short, but I'll review it. I can breathe again. Well, thanks all for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. You all know the deal. And until the next episode, I will see you guys next time. This concludes my broadcast day. It's over.